Harwich Golf Committee, that we will begin. This is a working session. The agenda has been posted, and it will be videoed for people to observe on our local TV.
There will be video
Yes,
posted? Okay.
yes. I want to, present is Mark, Paul White, Martha Duffy, Michelle Ryan, and Jack Donnelly. Connolly.
Close.
I knew I would do that, Jack. I've only known you for 20 years. And I want to thank you all for sending in your feedback on the present charter and how you perceive it in going forward. And everybody handed in their remarks. I have copies of them here. The only one that did not was Steve, and I got it last night, and I really have not had time to look at it. So what I did in reading them and reflecting on them, I sort of extrapolated from everybody's remarks on the different issues. And I sort of put a paragraph together. I thought that could be a starting point for us in proceeding. So if you would like to take a few minutes and just review them, and then I thought we would take them one by one and go over what I felt were the important points. Everybody had much to offer, and so our ownership is for everyone.
First one, Martha, the golf committee, 713-1, is that it?
Yes,
The current charter?
yes.
Are you recommending changing the name, Martha, or?
No, I wasn't. I think I just put that in.
The
But-
advisor, the word advisory?
Yeah, but it's just came from some of the readings
Yeah.
and notes that I read. I think we've heard advisory so often because we're an advisory committee to the select board. I don't know if that's a term that we want to keep or not keep.
I would think the town would want to do that consistently, one way or another. So the committees that are advisory, put that in their name. And I forget what the other type of committee, what the title was that Don said. He said there's advisory committees and there's, I forget what the other type was.
I think it was, oh, what was it?
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say judiciary, but it isn't judiciary.
I mean, I suppose whatever it is, if the town wants to do it that way, they should, and otherwise, no.
Yeah.
Is it regulatory too?
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe regulatory.
Yeah,
There's another one that,
yeah.
you mentioned that in Barnstable, actually, there's 3 different
Types.
boards. Yeah.
Yeah.
advisory, regulatory, and then another one at the end, but it sounds like they have all kinds of legal authority, so that's,
Yeah, which we do not have.
we don't have.
That to me, when I read the word there, I thought maybe we should change the name so that it's clear from the beginning. If the goal is any town member picks up the charter and understands, once you read that title, it already starts to define
Who we are.
what we're doing. We're an advisory committee. We're not a policy-setting committee. We're a policy-recommending committee.
I can recall when I was first interviewed for the golf committee, and I came in here, and there were 2 selectmen at the time, and it was made very clear to me that that was the role. I mean, they used the word advisory, I believe, and, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I mean, either putting it in the title or just assuming that a board's either advisory or regulatory, and we don't have to define it, but either way, I'm fine with it. I think I think it makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep.
I don't want to run the course. I want to
No.
be helpful.
Yeah. Yep.
I pretty much perceive that whatever we decide on tonight, if we feel like we have a final draft of something, that we present this
Yeah.
to the charter committee
Yep.
that is revamping the town charter. So
Yep.
I'm sure they will have input. They'll either feel this really describes what we perceive this committee doing. Because I think the way we stand right now, we don't have any direction. I just don't know what the head of golf at Cranberry, how he perceives this committee, how the town administrator perceives us, and the select board probably perceive us in a totally different way. So I'm hoping that we will get clarification and direction from the charter committee and definitely from the Board of Selectmen.
I imagine whatever the charter committee comes up with is going to have to go to town meeting.
Oh, yes, and have it approved,
I assume it's gonna be screened by the selectmen as well.
Sure.
yeah.
I would think, yeah.
Select board, not the selectmen.
Yeah, that's what it is now, huh?
Yes.
Select board.
So 713-1, to me, was pretty
Yeah,
cut and dry.
I think what you did is great.
Yeah, I like
I
the
agree.
rewrite very much.
It's, what we are.
Yep.
And,
Brings clarity,
yeah,
too, to how you become a member
Right.
and how it works.
I think once we get into 713-2 and 3 is probably the gray area. I have the 13-2. The purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to support the Director of Golf to recommend policies for consideration by the Select Board. These policies are developed in collaboration with the Director of Golf Operations relating to the maintenance and operation of the municipal golf course, including, but not limited to, near and long-term plans, budgetary preparation, policies, strategies, as they relate to eligibility for use, rates and fees, membership levels, capital investments, course modifications, hours of operation, and any other function that could financially impact the golf course.
So, the first sentence, without sounding harsh or confrontational, is our purpose, when we say our purpose is to support the director of golf, I believe our purpose is to represent the residents of the town in not that it should read this way, but in ensuring that the course is run well, so that it can provide entertainment, if you will, for town residents. It provides a financial benefit, whatever those things are. And so I think the way we do that is by recommending the policies. I think the next sentence where we say they're developed in collaboration, to me is really important, because we want to make sure it's stated, we are working with the director of golf. I don't know if right out of the gate saying our purpose is to support the director of golf is what our purpose is.
Yeah, I think there's some legitimacy to that.
What, Jack?
I do think there's some legitimacy to that observation.
Yeah.
See, I'm still, and I had it in my thing I sent to you,
Yes.
Martha, I'm still, I guess, uncertain or confused as to whether we have any financial influence in, regarding the golf course. You know, if I look at the process and if I look at, I mean, Roman develops the budget on his own. If I look at our past, my past 4 or 5 years, I assume he's getting input from the town administrator. But I never got the impression that he was looking for a lot of input or support from the committee regarding the budgetary aspects. Now, I don't know what the relationship between, you know, I mean, to me, if as a resident of the town, I would like to hope that the golf course is self-sustaining, or should approach self-sustaining if it's not. But even in the conversations we had last week with Jeff, it seemed like he sort of implied that we weren't privy to certain financial information. He said you could get it if you were a citizen, but not as a board member, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much financial influence we have or can have in that activity. But I mean, that's what I had in my comments or observations to the thing. You know, there's been this ongoing thing, is this golf course making money, or is this golf course, you know, a burden on the town? And we've never been able to
get a
clarify
clear answer.
that aspect. And I don't know whether, you know, Roman faces that in his discussions with the town administrator or not, or the, you know, the chief financial officer, or whatever the director is. So that's my only question is that an area where we can have influence, or is that entirely up to Roman and the town administrator to determine? That would be my comment or question. Maybe I don't know whether the charter committee can address that or not, or whether that has to go to the, I mean, it's probably worth leaving it in, but it isn't clear to me anyway that we can have an influence in that area, or we can even recommend policies in that area.
Well, I'm having a meeting tomorrow with Jeff Handler, and on my agenda is a lot of questions in regard to reviewing contracts, making recommendations for maintenance. Where are our responsibilities? lie. And so I'm hoping that I will get some answers from him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe a way to get some clarity
Yeah,
is to
include
drive it
yeah,
here.
Include it, yeah.
Put
Yeah.
some language in here that we believe, you know, maybe that's why we became members of the committee, maybe that's what, without some of that, what is the purpose of the
Yeah.
committee, I think, to me, starts to become the question, so.
Yeah, and even on, you know, I'm not criticizing, but even on rates and fees, if I look at our process,
Right.
it seems like Roman comes up with the rates and fees, and if we agree, great, if we don't agree, so what? Seems to be the attitude, or at least my perception of the attitude, you know, regarding our comments, or our input on that,
Yeah.
that activity. At least last year it was.
It
And-
was.
Very
and
much
in-
so,
In
yeah.
previous years, I mean, I think we agreed, but I don't think, I don't necessarily think Roman was looking for a lot of input from us on that aspect.
No.
See, I mean, if he's measured by how close he comes to, you know, I don't know how he's measured, and maybe it's none of my business, but if he's measured on how close he comes to getting the golf course, you know, let me say financially neutral, then I probably wouldn't want a lot of outside influence or interference saying, oh, you ought to, you know,
Yeah.
lower the cart rate for members or lower the fee for the members, especially if his objective from the town administrator is, you know, come in at financially neutral or better, you know, then we're just like a little gnat flying around saying, you know, why can't we lower the rates for the members or the residents? So I don't know. I mean, I agree with Michelle is, you know, I think we ought to put it in there, and maybe you can share this with Jeff tomorrow and get his reaction. But, I mean, I think these are, you know, pretty good attempts at defining a new charter.
My thoughts on this, maybe a little bit different from others, I don't know, but I look at the way the government is set up in the town. I had some experience in state government and less with local government. But with local government, you know, it's all in the lap of the elected select board.
Yeah.
You know, they do everything. Yeah, they are the executive and the legislative for the town.
Yeah.
They're on the ballot.
Yep.
They've been chosen, they've been tasked with that responsibility. They pick a town administrator, the town administrator runs all the agencies and reports to them.
Yep.
And I think it may be frustrating that we don't have more direct control, or, I won't say control, direct input or an opportunity to influence some decisions that are made. But at the same time, we gotta be careful that we stay advisory and we don't get into policy, you know?
Right.
And, you know, just for that reason, I just say we need to be cautious. We need to be careful. We gotta respect what's what. I mean, if the charter decides to change that and make recommendations and folks go along with it, then it might change going forward. But I'd
if
say
you-
just be cautious.
I sort of agree, Paul, but if you look at the current charter, it says the committee shall recommend governing policies to the maintenance and operation of the golf course. I mean, I don't know, where does financial fall in, under maintenance or operations? I mean, I'm not sure I know, to be honest, what policies we've ever,
I don't remember, I've
established.
been on this
You
board
know,
for
I
10
mean-
years, Jack. I don't remember any.
could we say we want a policy where we say, the card fees for the residents of Harwich shall be 75% of the non-member, the non-resident rate. Is that a legitimate policy, or, you know, should we not allow the non-resident annual pass holders to exceed, you know, 200, let's say we do something like,
Right.
I don't know, I mean, to me, those seem to smack of policies,
Yep.
but I don't know whether we have that wherewithal to recommend that.
See, because I think it's recommend.
Yeah,
We can't mandate,
oh, right, absolutely.
but our job, I think, is to recommend. But Paul, I want to kind of take what you were saying and maybe play it one step further. So something like membership fees. How do you see us interacting as you see our role with Roman and thinking through, like, do we just look at what he gives? Like, how would you see us doing? I'm just trying to think about what you're
Yeah.
saying and kind of make that come to life a little bit.
Well, in the first 3 years that I've served on the committee, you know, at some point, usually I think it's in the early spring or at the
I
end
think
of
it's-
winter or whatever.
It's November.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, is it November? Is it,
Yeah,
that's
the
in okay.
rates and fees are typically November.
Yeah.
when
And then we always have, well, he presents and we look at it and can ask questions, and we had pretty lively discussion about that the
Yeah.
last go-around. And then we have a public meeting where we actually listen to a reaction from the public
Right.
and then decide to vote either in
Yep.
support or whatever.
Yep.
And in the last one was the first one I recall where it was kind of like a loggerhead, it was
Yeah.
3-3 or something.
Yes,
and
it was.
Right.
so we didn't have
Yep.
a recommendation.
Right.
And it went to the selectmen, and the select board, excuse me, considered it and I guess approved it
Right.
without a recommendation from us. So that was, you know, maybe to some extent a lost opportunity on our part, but it's because people couldn't come to agreement.
Yeah.
But I think we have every right and should be expected to ask and get answers from Roman as to why he's recommending something. He seems to, and I'm glad he does, and his staff, they seem to kind of understand what's happening in other golf courses, you know, in a town like Dennis where they have 2 courses, in a town like Brewster where they have, you know, the side-by-side courses, and it's not, you know, I don't think the quality is quite the same, frankly.
Right.
But in any event, they sort of know what they charge, and I think, Mark, you helped give us some information about comparative rates, which I think Roman might have supplemented or whatever. So I don't know if I'm being responsive, but just trying to sort of explain how
Yeah. But
I see it.
What I kind of hear you saying is, last year was a missed opportunity because the committee didn't support the recommendation of the director of golf, but the committee also did not put forward a different recommendation.
Yeah.
So then the select board was left with a committee not in alignment with the director and having to make a choice. What other choice were they left to make, really, right? They had to go with what Roma was recommending. They didn't have to,
Right.
but it would have been difficult to do anything different. But I think in that, then I hear you saying, we do have an opportunity to say something different, but Roman certainly brings a lot of information and knowledge, and we need to listen and hear his perspective. We can still wind up as a committee with a different perspective, though. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, I don't, I'll speak for myself. I don't think I understand enough about how rates and fees are set to come up
To
with a
be able to.
recommendation.
I
You know.
know.
And I don't wanna, not trying to pick on Roman, but if I look at least what's been on the surface characterized, he seems, at least in the, I don't know, I think this is my 5th year, 4th year, one of those 2. I think we've gone up $25 every other year for the residents, and then in an attempt to catch up with the Eastham and Orleans non-residents.
A non-resident, yeah.
Yeah.
We went up $100 a year for Chatham, but we didn't go up for Eastham and Orleans. So what it isn't clear to me that there's any strategy behind what those numbers are. I mean, I'll give him enormous kudos. Roman has a lot of data about, how many memberships we have, how much they bring in, and so on and so forth. So maybe he's done that in the background, but it hasn't come across to me that he's done anything analytical other than we've always gone up $25.
Yep.
So let's go up $25 again for the residents. So I don't know whether he's actually doing some analytical analysis of the impact of a rate increase or not. But unfortunately, I had surgery last year, so I wasn't able to make it, but a question I have was, could we have negotiated something with Roman and saying, we don't agree, but are you willing to do this? And I don't know what this is, but in other words, to try to get a consensus between the advisory board and the, let me say, the operational arm. Are we able to, try to negotiate something with him? It just seems like he takes the feedback, but I don't think he's ever changed any of the rates that he initially started out with. And I'm not criticizing, I don't know all the ramifications behind what he's dealing with, from the town administrator, but do we have any opportunity to say, okay, will you consider, this, option A or option B or option C in as far as trying to reach some kind of consensus with him and the committee? So I don't know whether that's within our purview as well.
On the non-resident, I thought we had, as a committee, agreed with the goal of kind of leveling it out so that
Right.
all.
That has happened.
Oh, we
So-
did.
So
That
Yeah.
has
the
happened.
Chatham-
But I'm just saying on that, the goal or
Yeah,
the ultimate goal was we'll eliminate these variable
Right. For the
charges to different towns and
right.
have them all pay the same
so
thing.
that's an
Right.
example where the committee did influence and with Roman and got to
I think he
a-
recommended it and we
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah, so
I
that's,
don't think we came up with it, frankly.
so maybe that's a good I mean, see, this is where I think we as committee can have working sessions too, so we can do some work. I'm a very analytical person, I think we've got some analytical people on the committee, and I would say invite Roman to the discussion too, and say, we're looking, as an example on rates and fees, I don't wanna I asked a question on rates and fees, I don't wanna drive this conversation down the rates and fees hole. It's a good example, though. It's such a relevant example of something that we all,
Yeah, this impacts everyone.
yeah, exactly.
All the
That-
members, are all,
I never felt that the rates and fees had any relationship with the making of the operational budget.
it seems like there's two totally separate processes, although what Jeff
Because
said
I
at the.
would.
Yeah,
If I was running it, rates and fees provide the money
yeah,
to run the
to cover the
course.
expenses, and Jeff said it has to be break even
And it was,
for all the direct and
when I
indirect
went to
expenses.
that meeting, it was very clear when it was presented that the golf committee did not approve the rates and fees. The select board made it very clear to Roman, because I was sitting right there, it doesn't matter what the golf committee thinks. They are only advisory.
Yep.
And we are accepting what you have presented. And going back, Jack, 5, 6 years ago, it was the golf committee that made a very strong stand on Chatham residents
Yeah.
paying non-resident
Right.
fees. So
And
it
that
was
got-
really our putting that forward, that he implemented it.
right, but I think if I recall, Martha, on that aspect, the committee was not in favor of giving the Chatham people to pay the same rate as the Harwich residents. But I think it still carried that the Chatham people got a discount
Yeah.
and ended up paying the same as the, and that was at a, you know, and again, that's the mystery, I guess, of, it was at a time where they were trying to, the implication that I think I came away with is they were trying to negotiate something with Chatham regarding access to their waste treatment facility. And I think the impression I was left with was that by offering Chatham's residents a rate here, it might facilitate that negotiations to allow us to connect to their waste treatment facility. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but that was sort of the impression that I was left with from the, and I could have been just a participant. I don't even remember when I was on the, whether I was on the board then, or the committee then. But that was the impression I was left with at that time. But again, even though the board did not favor that, it still got accepted by, because Roman basically did not accept the recommendation of the
Committee.
the committee, right. So I don't know whether, you know, it's always been sort of in the back of my mind is how receptive is Roman to our recommendations, especially regarding rates and fees. And rates and fees really have a significant impact on the budget. I mean,
Yeah.
that drives the revenue.
Right.
So I don't know. But,
I guess back to this.
yeah,
Yes.
I don't know, Paul, Mark, your thoughts on just that first sentence in terms of the statement about the committee, our goal, our purpose is to support the director of golf.
Oh, in the description,
yeah,
not in
Yeah.
the charter.
Well,
no, charter.
in the charter, in the rewrite of the charter. So the current charter is at the top, the part below that is the proposed rewrite, where it says the purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to support.
I think we are trying to support Roman, but
Yep.
is he listening to anything that we're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
I,
is that our purpose, or is that's what we should do?
for the
But we
residents
were-
of the town,
Yeah,
I think. I
Yeah.
mean, we're representing the taxpayers,
to recommend policies
yeah.
that we work with him on to develop, but like to
Well,
me, it's,
What about, the purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to represent the residents of Harwich in recommending policies for consideration by the select board. These policies are developed in collaboration with the director of golf relating to the,
yeah.
I don't know.
Purpose of the golf advisory is to represent the citizens of Harwich.
And to recommend policies for.
Represent the citizens of Harwood with respect to the municipal golf course?
No, I'd say the purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to represent the.
Oh,
But-
and just go right into.
To recommend, yeah.
Yep,
And,
Yep.
because in a sense,
yep,
you're saying in the next sentence, these policies are developed in collaboration with the
Yep.
director of golf.
yeah, that's what I would do. So the first sentence would be, the purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to represent the citizens of Harwich and to recommend policies for consideration by the select board, period. These, and that's what it says, these policies are developed in collaboration with the director of golf operations.
I think it's just, you should just be consistent and say director of
Director of
golf.
golf, yeah.
Relating to the maintenance and operations, including but not limited to. And see, I think that's,
Then I think some of this we then have to maybe cull out, because we've got a lot of words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
yeah, and see, I mean, one I would think we may want to remove is budgetary preparation, since
Yeah,
I mean, my impression of the budget process is someone says, we're gonna get a 2% or 4% increase in the budgets, we'll accept a 4% increase in the budgets, and that's passed down. It doesn't make, at least it's my perception, that it doesn't seem to make a difference if it's the golf course that has a source of revenue, or it's the recreation department, which has
Yeah.
a much less revenue source than the golf course.
Right.
It's,
Yep.
you know, everyone's not suffers the same, but everyone adheres to the same, and then it's up to the department heads to make cases for either increasing or securing more money. So I don't know how much we can have, impact we can have on budgetary.
Yeah, that's a bit sacrosanct.
Yeah, well, and I think the way Jeff reacted the other day, too,
Yeah.
to me, gives me a clue that that language, I don't think the language here means we want to have a spreadsheet that we're controlling,
Right.
No,
putting in every number and saying this is the budget. It's
No.
more of how do we influence it, but I think that language will not be well received. It could be perceived all wrong, that we are trying to go way beyond our authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that those words probably should come out.
So the amounts that they go up, is it every year or every 2 years, is that set in stone?
The rates and fees, or just any expense?
Well, like Jack was saying,
The-
20,
My impression, and again, this is solely my impression, Mark, is, and it's probably based on 5 years on the committee, is he's gone and done typically a $25 increase in the residence rate.
right.
For the past 2 or 3 years, we've done a $100 increase in the non-resident rate, but that was to just bring Chatham into sync with
East Hammond.
the East Hammond Orleans rate,
Yeah.
and their rate never changed.
right.
I mean, their rate remained stable or flat for 3 years while Chatham caught up to them. And then, you know, now this will be the first year where we have a new opportunity to establish a non-resident rate.
Yep.
You know, so to me, there hasn't been, and I could be, you know, I'm sure he does some analysis, but the rate has been pretty flat. I think it's been $25. It was, you know, maybe it's probably gone up $75 since, I don't know whether he's,
His sheet doesn't go back that far and show it.
yeah.
Was
I think the
$100.
theory was, at least my presumption is, the theory is do something every couple of
Yeah,
years, but
right.
not whack people. you
Right.
know?
Right,
Make it modest so that we
Yeah.
can kind of keep up, but don't punish anyone, you know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, our rates are pretty competitive.
Our rates are very low, and
Yeah.
I think for the quality of a golf
Get a hell
course
of a
that we
bargain.
have, it's the best bargain on the
Oh,
table.
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
And I think that's,
but it's always been, my question is, are we, you know, is there a correlation between rates and revenue? Or is it just an arbitrary $25 that he's, you know, you don't
Yeah.
wanna whack him
Yeah.
a large sum of money, but are we looking to keep, you know, this issue that I think Jeff was gonna, you know, try to get some clarification on of what's the true indirect costs that, you know, to deal with Steve's, that interfund transfer that they put in, that's been the bugaboo. We never know what's in that interfund transfer. So,
But I would say, even like rates and fees, just to have having a corporate finance background, like, you don't, it's a municipal course, so
Right.
it's a different consideration.
yes, absolutely.
So you can't just raise fees, but like, inflation has been the highest it's been in 20 years.
Yep.
In the last 2 years. And the cost of chemicals to treat the course went up. The cost of labor went
Yeah.
way up. He added another resource because the usage at the course has gone up. He had to add technology
Yep.
because there's so much credit card I mean, he's had real costs come on.
Yeah,
And so who's paying for, like, that's where, to me, there's an analytical way to look at it
Yeah.
too, to just say, is 25 right?
yeah, or should it be higher?
Yeah,
Or
because you
should-
can look at it through two angles too, like, we only have 18 holes, all these other
Yeah,
towns.
of 36
We
or
might have
more.
an A plus 18 and they have a B plus 36 or 45.
Yeah,
But if all I wanna do is play golf, maybe I want that, cause I
Yeah.
get more opportunities to play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, all of it, I think we have to take into consideration.
but see, it's never been clear that that's the analysis that occurs,
That-
Michelle.
who's doing it,
And,
yeah.
and it may very well happen that he feels 25 gets him to where he needs to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my impression of the budget process, and it's very simplistic, is the town administrator tells them a percentage they
Yes.
increase,
Yeah,
and that's what you need to hit.
that's the sense I have too.
And,
Yep,
and
and he
uh,
makes it work, he tweaks all
and
the
if-
expenses
yeah,
and,
and I don't know whether Roman actually, well, I'm sure he does, but it isn't obvious to us whether, because of this indirect cost issue, as to whether the revenue that he's projecting will actually make the golf course,
Yep.
you know, revenue neutral or financially neutral to the town.
Yep.
So, and that's never been,
Yeah.
Yep.
and it doesn't, I mean, my impression from Jeff last week was, that's not gonna happen. That we'll get
Yeah.
a lot of insight
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
into that, so.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm creating in my head a recollection that didn't occur, but I thought Roman said, you know, they get a target.
Right,
2%, 3%,
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah,
And I thought someone said, well, what if that's not enough? Can you push back? And I
Yeah.
thought he said, yes, I can. I can
Yeah.
try to make my
And he used
case.
an example of
Right.
like inflation.
Yeah,
and
yeah, there might be
people-
something, or, you
Salary
know,
costs were higher.
But-
the hourly, you know, the minimum wage went up, or,
That was the example
you know,
he used, yeah.
the supermarkets are paying $18 an hour, so we can't get away with 16 or 15 or whatever. So, yeah, I think there is some flexibility, but it's not, you
Yeah.
know.
yeah, because, I don't know, one of the things he gave us, I mean, it did have some of that. It did have what the, I don't have it. It did have what the increase was over the prior years. And,
Oh, of his expense items.
yeah, of his,
Yeah.
so, but again, you've got this $500,000
Yeah,
amount
Plug.
that doesn't,
yep.
I don't know whether they count it or whether that's a measure of, I mean, if it's just the tangible expenses versus the revenue, then, you know, it comes out that we're making $300,000, or we're exceeding our revenue, our expenses by $300,000 a year.
Yep.
But if we,
So if we come back to this, and
Yeah.
so the first sentence was, we've kind of aligned on something, I think we've aligned, but let's, the purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to represent the citizens of Harwich and to recommend policies for consideration by the select board, period. These policies are developed in collaboration with the director of golf relating to the maintenance and operation of the municipal golf course.
Right.
And we can just put a period there.
right,
And then have a third sentence that says something like, policy recommendations include, but are not limited to. And then of these things, or is there another way to say it, or which of these things on the laundry list do we want to?
Yeah,
Make
I would,
sure we say.
I would take out budgetary
I would
preparations.
too.
Yep, yeah, I totally, I think it's just a hot button. I like near and long-term plans. I
Yep,
mean, those are
I-
major things.
I agree.
Policies and strategies as they relate to eligibility for use.
I don't know about hours of operation, that's,
Yeah, that might be,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
More
micromanaging,
day-to-day.
Roman,
Yeah.
yeah.
That sort of,
If we say near and long-term plans, do you think we still need capital investments, or is that,
no,
Redundant.
that might include it, or theoretically, it might include it.
Yeah,
It should.
it should include
It
it.
should
So we'll-
be inherently included.
And I think course modifications is good to actually call out, even though it is.
Sorry?
I was just reading the words course modifications and thinking that also would be part of near and long-term planning.
Yeah.
So maybe.
I think the narrower you make it, the better, because it frankly broadens potential
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
involvement. You could argue all those
Say fewer
things.
things.
Say fewer things.
Yeah,
So that we're not,
yep,
if you say too much, you're limiting yourself.
yep. So if we say, but not limited to near and long-term plans and policies and strategies as they relate. Do we need? what do
To
we need to say then?
eligibility for use. Is that the same as membership levels? No, I don't know.
So the sentence is
I'll
gonna
tell you,
start,
during
these
the-
policies, so we
During
don't have to say
during the
policies
summer,
again.
I don't know what your feedback, Jack, but people are not happy up there at all
About what?
about the overflow.
overflow.
Oh, they're all going to Captain's, Dennis, Highlands. I know some people have that overflow 6 times.
Somehow what I want is.
Something has to be done about that, though.
I think what we need to understand, and he has reports.
Yeah.
Is, so give us a better picture of overflow, but then also, are there people who are overflowing multiple times? And can you help us understand how many times are they playing? So he should be able to see, like, yeah, I do have some people who overflow 3 times a week, but they're playing 3 times a week, so how many, I mean, that's the balance for me. I think some people have this thought, like, this is my club and I pay my $800 and this is my private country club. Like, how many times should you really expect to play for $800? I don't know. I don't think it's much more than 2 times a week. We have 1,300 members.
That's
Which is a lot of members.
That's a
for
lot of
an
members
18-hole
for
course.
18
is.
holes. Yeah.
It's, you know, I mean, Roman seemed to try to address that last meeting. I think Mary Sullivan
Yeah.
raised that question with him. But again, he said, you know, he looks at the overflow report every day, but to me, there's just a feeling that, is he actually gonna do something based on that overflow report? And it's not clear to me. I mean, one thing he could do is cut the percentage of time allocated to
Outside guests.
outside guests. You know, I guess questions I'd have is, could we, you know, limit the number of outside residents? I mean, we seem to have this open door policy where we'll take any, you got money, we'll take you.
Right.
You know, should we try to limit non-residents if it's for the benefit and the enjoyment of the citizens of Harwich is the primary consideration? I don't know whether, you know, we would initiate, Roman in and of himself would initiate any of those activities. I mean, it seems like we'll take anyone. And maybe we should, because if we're not recovering money, but yeah, I mean, most places, 350 is a heavy, I mean, a private country club, 350 is a
Oh,
lot.
it's a lot.
And we're 4 times that.
What percentage of the budget, I wonder, does the revenue from membership represent?
From the numbers that I was
Yeah,
able to
both
run,
residents and non-residents.
I think the membership fees of residents is somewhere around 900.
I think it's,
100,000?
Of residents and non-residents. I mean, total membership fees is somewhere around 900,000. And if we've got 800 and some adult residents at $860 each, that's about 700,000.
Mm.
So then
used to
you've
be-
probably got like 300,000, maybe 400,000 from everybody else. And then, according to the town website at least, when, like, greens fees appear to be about 800,000, then you've got the carts, which is another few $100,000. So it's, the residents are, Harwich adult residents are maybe a third of, or slightly more, 40% of the 2.1 million of revenue we had last year.
Yeah, I thought it, a while ago, Paul, I thought it was close to 50/50. Actually, I think it was more greens fees, but I think since they've cut back on the number of greens fees.
Yeah.
you know,
Allocated more to members.
And allocated more to the members, it's come closer to,
Yeah. 50/50. Yeah.
60, maybe
Yeah.
60/40,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And I thought he, I don't know whether it was this year or last year, he actually had given us an analysis of where the revenue was. So much paperwork, I don't know.
Just getting back to the draft here, and
Mhm.
I've been thinking about it since we read it. The purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to represent the citizens. I think residents is better than citizens,
Okay.
isn't
Okay.
it?
Yep.
Sure,
Because, I don't know, I
We're
think it's just,
taxpayers.
yeah.
Yep.
Residents, I like
Residents.
residents. Residents sounds softer, friendlier.
of Harwich, and to recommend. Stay faithful to the advisory standard in that first sentence and then going forward.
Yep.
How do we feel with the way it stands now, Michelle?
We took
So if
out
it says-
budgetary preparation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So if we say the purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to represent the residents of Harwich and to recommend policies for consideration by the select board. These policies are developed in collaboration with the Director of Golf relating to the maintenance and operation of the municipal golf course. Policy recommendations can include, but are not limited to, near and long-term plans and strategies, because we already used the word policy in that sentence,
mhm.
and strategies as they relate. This is where I think we've got too much. I'm just wondering, do we say near and long-term plans? And strategies as they relate to eligibility for use. I don't even know what that means. Eligibility for use. Rates and fees, membership levels.
Maybe membership levels instead of eligibility for use?
Yeah, they sound like they're similar, so
Yeah.
maybe it's membership levels, rates and fees. And then I was thinking, any other function that could impact the financial sustainability of the golf course,
Viability?
viability. And any other function that could impact the financial viability of the golf course.
Whoops. Uh-oh, time to look in the lights.
The only thing that this, now it says, it starts with represent the residents of Harwich. What we don't say anywhere is like, we want people to have a great experience golfing. Do we want it to, like, is that our responsibility, or is
I don't know
that,
if you want that in the charter, though.
that's really part of the operations, like, that is part of
Yeah.
Rome,
Part of
that's
our
part of the team.
Mission
Mission,
statement.
it's certainly part of our
Yeah.
mission
Mission
statement or whatever.
statement.
I
And
think-
that's part of the team running the golf course, to make sure that they provide that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we'll call out financial viability because that is so important and, sorry, so this is where we are, I think. The purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to represent the residents of Harwich and to recommend policies for consideration by the select board.
Yeah.
These policies are developed in collaboration with the director of golf relating to the maintenance and operation of the municipal golf course. Period. Policy recommendations can include, but are not limited to, near and long-term plans and strategies as they relate to membership level, rates and fees, and any other function that could impact the financial viability of the golf course. The only question I have is the word function.
Activity?
Activity, any other?
Yeah,
That doesn't, function doesn't,
no,
doesn't,
Yeah.
doesn't fit.
doesn't ring true.
No.
But if you said, instead of near and long-term plans, but not limited to membership level, rates and fees. Course modifications and any other
Is that saying
decisions?
in-course modification?
No, I was, because then I was taking out near and long-term plans to just kind of have it flow differently. And any other decision that could impact the financial viability of the golf course?
Yeah, that could work.
Just to get the whole kind of run of things together? But I don't know if, I think near and long-term
How
plans
about
is
matters?
any other
Any other
matters.
matters that could financially? I don't
Yeah.
know.
That could,
Kind of
yeah, I
a
like
bland
that.
word.
And any other matters that could impact the financial viability of the golf course.
Once again, this is just making recommendations.
Yeah,
that's right.
exactly.
That's right.
Just
could-
making
could
recommendations.
look at
Policy
this.
Consideration.
recommendations
Throw
can
it out.
include, but are not limited to, near and long-term plans and strategies as they relate to, or maybe it's policies. Oh, no, we already have policies in there. And strategies as they relate to rates and fees, membership levels, and any other matters that could impact the financial viability of the golf course. I kinda like that. It covers a lot, but it's not too drilled down. Yeah, okay, that's good. I think. What do others think? Mark, how you
I
feeling
like
about
it.
that?
I think it sounds good, and I think
I
the
do
shorter the
too.
better, because if it
Yes.
gets too long, they're gonna say,
Yeah, well, they're gonna say, what are you people
yeah.
on? Well, you're only advisory, you want to advise us on the type of toilet paper to have in the bathroom. Okay,
Well, that could
I like that.
that could be a recommendation.
Oh, here we go, back on the bathrooms again.
Oh, dear.
Okay,
Okay, now we have 713-3.
Yeah,
This one, I don't know why this is even there.
I don't either, but I just, the director of golf operations or employee
Having the general,
having the
I would even
general
take that
powers.
stuff out, because, I mean, okay, I guess if Roman's role didn't exist, but for now, let's just leave it. Like somebody had said on the previous one, let's just call it the director of golf.
yeah.
And that's it, and take the other stuff out. Supervision.
I have no idea what within the scope of the general policy and
I don't
direction
either.
established by the golf committee means or needs to be. I think my recommendation was to just take that out.
See, what I like about this, though, the rewrite here isn't about who does Roman report to. That's covered elsewhere in the charter, but I like this part about, the previous section talks about we have a responsibility to work collaboratively with him. That's what we've proactively stated, that we will work in collaboration with him. And I think what this gets to is, he has a response, the director of golf also has a responsibility to
To
work
us, yeah.
collaboratively with us. And so this just spells out kind of what that looks like, I
Yep.
think. And it's really broad, and then we can work with him to tighten up what it is well, I guess it's really more Martha with Jeff. This is what we think we want on a monthly basis, so that we are properly informed.
Okay, somehow it says, "Will work collaboratively with the Golf Advisory Committee, meeting with," and discussing the maintenance and operation. I guess that just doesn't,
You feel like you don't, it's redundant?
no, I don't know about redundant, but just seems awkward. Golf, will work collaboratively with the Golf Advisory Committee.
Maybe you just say
And
meeting,
provide timely information that
yeah,
gives the committee
yeah, adequate.
adequate time to review and make recommendations. I don't know whether discussing the maintenance and operation of the golf course.
Yeah, maybe we don't need those words
Maybe
again.
we don't need that.
The director of golf will work collaboratively with the committee.
You're taking out the employee having the general powers of
Yeah.
supervision?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That wouldn't relate to a time when we didn't have a director of golf and it was like Sean or something running the
yes,
course.
I
would
think
it?
that's what it is,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, let's just, if the town wants language like
Yeah.
that for each of these, I
Well,
guess
maybe
the
the
town.
director of golf,
Because that's how it read
director of golf
previously.
or his designee.
Yeah, that's how it read
Yeah.
previously, that's why I'm guessing
Or
it was just,
a designee.
yeah. We'll let them put in that kind of, I would say, we let the town get that wording consistent across all policy, the whole charter. The director of golf will work collaboratively with the golf committee, meeting regularly with the committee and providing timely information that gives the committee adequate time to review and make recommendations.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Did everybody hear that
Yep,
version?
What's the last part, meeting regularly?
Will work collaboratively with the golf advisory committee,
Right.
meeting regularly and providing timely information that gives the committee adequate time to review and make recommendations.
that's very succinct.
Well, I know we gave Roman the night off so we could have this working session. Would you be giving him the courtesy of a briefing on what we've decided?
I
after?
could.
Yeah. Don't you think we should?
Well, it's
Yeah.
very much in the spirit of this.
Yeah.
I think Jeff as well, just to get
Yeah, well,
Jeff.
Jeff, she's got
yeah.
Jeff set up.
Yeah, so if you can,
I-
I don't know how full the agenda is
Do we
with
need to
Jeff.
make a motion to accept the,
Yeah.
Yes.
each one of these sections?
Yep. Okay.
Do you want to make a motion that we accept all three?
Or do you want to read one and then make a motion?
Do you want to read them, Michelle?
Sure, okay.
Yeah, do
You've
them
got
each
the notes.
individually.
Okay. So we'll read 713-1 and then make a motion. The Golf Advisory Committee is comprised, I made a slight tweak here, is comprised of 7 members, all of whom are Harwich residents and are appointed by the Select Board. Members shall be appointed for 3-year overlapping terms.
Okay.
Reappointment at the end of the term shall be determined by the Select Board. All vacancies will be filled by the Select Board. There shall be a chair, vice chair, and clerk elected by the committee. The committee shall meet at least monthly from May through November and any other time deemed necessary by the chair. Would someone like to make a motion?
Should it be chair, vice chair, or clerk? Is it?
for any other time deemed necessary by,
Yeah, I mean, if, at least my impression is if the chair isn't here,
Oh.
the vice chair,
yep,
and then the clerk can
they run the meeting.
run the meeting.
But then
But I think-
then it would read that
Yeah.
each one of them should
Yeah.
decide
Has
to have
that
another.
power.
All right,
Yeah.
then let's just
Yeah.
leave it by the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
If I call
the
a
spirit
meeting,
is.
I'll be
Yeah.
here,
Yep,
Yep,
or the chair would be here.
Right,
yep,
right.
I make a motion, we accept the wording as
read it.
read by Michelle.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
all approve.
Is that like- This one I might have to type on for you. This has a lot. The
Lot
next
of-
one,
lot
I've
of
got a
Don't
stuff.
lot
type
of-
that
yeah,
and send it
yeah.
to me.
I'll take it all back.
Yeah.
and Type it and send it to you. 713-2. The purpose of the Golf Advisory Committee is to represent the residents of Harwich and to recommend policies for consideration by the Select Board. These policies are developed in collaboration with the Director of Golf relating to the maintenance and operation of the municipal golf course, period. Policy recommendations can include, but are not limited to, near and long-term plans and strategies as they relate to rates and fees, membership levels, and any other matters that could impact the financial viability of the golf course.
I like that. I'd make a motion that we accept the
Second.
713-2 as just described by Michelle.
Look who's coming in. We've got a member, we've got a committee member joining.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The third,
713-3. The Director of Golf will work collaboratively with the Golf Advisory Committee, meeting regularly with and providing the committee with timely information that gives the committee adequate time to review and make recommendations.
I make a motion, we accept 713-3 as just read by Michelle.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oops, sorry, Steve.
It's 10 after 5. This, I'm not really sure. I think I have to stick to the agenda. So,
Yeah, what you posted,
This
you have
was
to
all
stick
that was
to.
on the agenda.
right, so I recommend that we are finished.
Yes.
Sorry, Steve.
That's all right.
And we
All
can't
in-
yes.
All in favor?
Adjournment? Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Aye.
Second,
Aye.
Second.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we cannot